It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews, it's your number one source. Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 326 of Sports Card Nation. Glad to be back. We have a guest returning for part two of our conversation. Greg Poole of Can Ministries, who operates the only 100% not-for-profit LCS and doing other things for his community. We had him on last week. If you missed that, go back and check that episode out. We're continuing our conversation this week to conclude it. And after last week's show, my friend Terry, who is a friend of mine, I play softball with him. He's not a real active collector, but he did collect back in the day. Well, he heard that episode, and he said, John, I'm going to drop off something near your back gate. He didn't want to come in. My house is kind of battling like flu and colds, and he was going to visit his 96-year-old mom. God bless her. So he didn't want to risk anything, but he left it near my back gate. And it was a box full of like memorabilia, a couple, Jim Kelly autographed helmet, hat, some vintage cards, Hank Aaron coin, Mantle coin, some ticket stubs, some magazines, some apparel, a little bit of everything. And he said, hey, I want you to work your magic, sell what you can sell. And any money raised, can you give it to Can? So we're going to do that. I'm estimating it'll be, when all said and done, it'll be $200 or $300. I think I've already even moved about $140 worth of it. So, that's those great stories, right, about the hobby community and just the community in general coming together to help someone who's doing good things, right? That stuff, I always say that stuff is contagious. And, where you can help is in the show notes. So if you wanted, even if you're not local, my story and my friend is a local one where he dropped it off, but you can ship it to them. If you want to send even just a financial donation, you can do that as well. That the information is in the show notes. And so Greg is back today. We're going to talk more about the hobby, what he does, how it all kind of came to be. So quick break, and then we'll be right back with more from Greg Poole of Can Ministries.
For nearly 50 years, Sports Collectors Digest has been the voice of the hobby, bringing you comprehensive coverage of the sports collectible industry. From industry news, auction results, market analysis, and in-depth stories about collectors and their collections, Sports Collectors Digest has everything you need to know about the hobby. SCD is also your leading source for listings of sports collectible dealers, card shops, card shows, and the latest from the industry's top companies. To check out all the latest news or to subscribe to the hobby's oldest magazine, visit sportscollectorsdigest.com or call 1-800-829-5561.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Greg Poole has returned for part two of our conversation. We're going to start off the conversation talking about his show circuit, how he sets up at shows, promoters, cooperation, non-cooperation, that sort of thing. So here we are with the conclusion from last week's conversation with Greg Poole of Can Ministries. You mentioned shows. Do you set up at shows as one question at a time? You mentioned like the name is not sort of kind of doesn't illustrate what you do. Where does Can come from? So people know, like.
So when I was a teenager and really decided this was the route we were going to go, I really was still very private on what we were doing and kind of how we were doing it. And so as a high school junior and senior, I really kind of disguised this as a service project. And so Can, when I was like, hey, this is what we're doing, I really just kind of painted it as we would collect recyclables, because I really didn't want to say, hey, I'm selling everything I own and we're going to give it away. I didn't want those red flags to be raised. I didn't want people to really ask questions. And so in my infinite wisdom, I decided, like I said, to just kind of hide what we were doing behind painted it like a school service project. And so by the time I really got comfortable with our story and kind of telling everybody, really what it was all about, the branding had kind of stuck with our seniors and those that we were helping. And so I really didn't want to change that because of what they were able to associate that with. And so it is terrible branding, but it does still, it brings that question on, like, hey, I don't understand what your business name is. Could you tell me a little bit about it? So it's really a conversation piece now. But yeah, it really doesn't describe what we do very well. And I can't even remember what the other question was, but yeah, so that's the branding question. Oh, the shows.
Well, let me just say this, regardless of the name of the organization, right? Like you said, you've built a reputation, a following, people care. So like you said, the name is what it is. It doesn't affect how successful you are, and because you are, you don't want to change it. I get that. The other question, which shows, how many do you attend? I'm assuming you set up, and then anything you sell at the show, I know you mentioned 100% goes to charity. All proceeds go to help people. I hope. I don't want to jinx this by kind of saying it beforehand. As someone who does shows myself and used to promote shows many moons ago, I hope the promoters kind of work with you, whether it's a free table or something, to kind of get you set up there. But kind of talk about your presence at shows.
So our presence at shows, so we typically do 5 or 6, depending on kind of what is in our area. We're in Southern Illinois, so I will say that whenever people say we're from Illinois, we're about 5.5 hours south of Chicago. So we're kind of the forgotten part of Illinois. So we do go to St. Louis a little bit. There are some shows in our area. So we do try to set up at least 5 or 6 a year. Now, I will say that what we do at those shows can vary. And so there is one local show that we will just set up free tables. So we will bring boxes, packs, a little bit of supplies, and we will honestly just let kids go to town. Let them pick up packs, top loaders, whatever they need, and then we'll bring in monster boxes and they can make their own packs. So we do that, and then we also do just your typical show setup where we will bring in stuff for sale, and 100% of everything we sell goes back in what we do. And we also have no overhead. Like we're all volunteer. I don't get paid to do what we do. But yeah, so that's our show. Like I said, 5 or 6 a year. We've tried the last several years. We'd really like to go to the national. We haven't been successful in getting a table at that, but like that would be like show dream, would be able to get into the national and, to spread our message there. But we're working our way up to that.
Have promoters of these shows that you attend, are they pretty fair and they treat you fairly
So
for what you're doing?
that can kind of vary too. And so with the ones that we sell at, we are just like any other vendor, and I understand that, and we don't want to be special, I guess. The free tables it's been interesting. We no longer attend a show because some of the vendors were not happy that we were setting up free areas for kids, and so one of the promoters just won't sell us tables anymore. And I get that too a little bit. I mean, I guess, if we're taking away business, then we don't want to do anything to sully the hobby. But it's kind of all over the place. Like I said, and it kind of goes back to what I talked about just being in the shop. It's difficult to talk or to understand what we do without having a conversation. And so, I guess if you're like, hey, I'm just going to give stuff away without any context behind it, people just go, oh, well, they're taking business away from us. Or if we're coming in to sell, again, we're just like any other dealer. And again, that's kind of how we want to be. But it's been all over the place.
Yeah, that's too bad to hear that, dealers are like, as a dealer myself, right? We talk about kids in the hobby. That's a bit, I started, in 1979 as a 7-year-old kid. They're the next, we're talking about a race, right? Where our race is going to end, and we have to pass that baton to the next generation. And so, it's sad to hear maybe dealers take those stances, but we need those. I love seeing kids at a show. I don't care whether it's my table or someone else's table. The fact that they're at that show and interested in the hobby, like, that's a terrible take. And again, I don't want to paint with a broad brush here, but that would warm my heart seeing kids active in hobby. It does whenever I see it. So it's really, I guess everyone has they're entitled to their opinion, but and if you don't know what someone's doing before you pass judgment, right, find out. And I think if they knew, Greg, then maybe they'd have a different opinion on things. I think it's just so easy to be grumpy and complain about stuff, especially when you don't know the whole story. And,
and you mentioned getting kids into the hobby, and that is like, again, like we really preach, when we go into schools, and a lot of teachers will use for giveaways, but we talk about the community that it builds and the social interactions, and that's great, and we want to get kids in the hobby for that reason. And then you have to build a base, because if there's not a generation behind us, sometimes things are only worth what people are willing to pay, and if there's not a generation behind us, we may be caught with our hand in the cookie jar. But then the other thing in our area is we serve so many low income kids. Like at our local grade school, the poverty rate's like 73%. So about 7 out of every 10 kids lives below the poverty line. And sometimes the hobby can be inaccessible to those kids. And so, just being able to even give them a blaster box or, a new product, or, even just singles that they can kind of build on and have something that, they really probably couldn't afford otherwise. That, like I said, it's multifaceted, the things that we do. When you start involving kids, there's a lot of different reasons that we serve those kids.
So Greg, you do obviously a lot for kids, and they get a lot of stuff, hobby stuff, like you mentioned, no strings attached, free of charge. And I believe that stuff is contagious. I really do. I wholeheartedly believe that. And so I think that young boy, young girl, if they stay in the hobby, obviously they're going to get older, probably start, have a part-time job, then a full-time job. And obviously if they love the hobby, stay in the hobby, they're going to amass a bigger collection. But I think they'll remember, getting that stuff from your organization, and I think they'll pay it forward. Do you agree with that, or is it something you're already started to see?
Yeah, so really we have seen, and not just with kids, but really once people come into the shop and see what we do and they see the resource center, we've really had really good luck and a really great experience with people just becoming involved in our organization now. When, like I said, I mentioned earlier, Ryan Fagan, he when he came down to write for the Sporting News, about halfway through, he said, hey, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, when I came down here, I thought this was going to be some kind of throwaway. And he said, this is a lot more than even I anticipated. And now we're blessed. Ryan's on our board. Like, And so it's the same when we have kids in and we start, we just open our doors and we open the cases. I mean, obviously nobody's leaving with any 33 Gaudis or anything, but when it's no strings attached. And so we've been really blessed with those parents and even those kids that when we do an event at an assisted living facility, they're there and they're there, their boots on the ground. And so it's not even just a hobby, a people thing. And yeah, it's our hope that, just by showing them a little bit of kindness that, yeah, they remember that and down the road, they share the love. And it, like I said, doesn't have to be Hobby Way, but we'd love for it to be a pay it forward Hobby Way. This hobby means it's more than dollars and bucks. We see, I know when I collected as a kid, I almost never thought about what the value of this return was to me. Now, if I had something that was expensive, I was like, oh my gosh, I got something, an 89 Griffey rookie or whatever, but I never collected with that dollar in mind. Like, I have to flip this, it's worth $100. And so really, like I said, if we can even instill in these kids that what we do in this hobby is more, it does, that sentimental value is always going to be more valuable to me than a card was worth. And even just those memories of trading with friends and family and associating players with games that you've went to or watched with a grandparent, like it's just really something that you can build on. And like I said, and it's kind of a scattershot answer, but that it can do so much with just so little.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. In the hobby, I think most people, I know I can, I collect, I'm in the hobby because my grandfather bought me my first, packs of cards. And we all usually have a family or friend connection to the hobby. That's more often the story than not the story. And that's important as well. And it's nice to hear some of that pub, whether it be, like you said, Ryan Fagan's article, The Card Life, that creates some buzz and makes people aware of what you're doing and gets a little bit of that, groundswell going. I got to ask this, and I hope the answer's a good one. You mentioned like doing shows. I like to think as a dealer myself, right, that, and I'm not talking about the dealers that maybe don't like what you kind of the scenario you mentioned earlier, but I like to think, to some dealers who are aware of what you're about and what you do, and I hope they come up and say, hey, here's some stuff, sell it, give it, it's for you to do what you're doing towards the ministries, or bring it to the store and move it there. Do you get any of that at the show level, or I'm hoping the answer is yes.
It's picking up steam, and again, that again relies on the conversation that we have with them, and that's part of the reason, amongst many others, that we're an open book. But yeah, it's starting to pick up. And here's the deal: it doesn't even have to be something to sell. We had somebody the other day that brought in, that bought a bunch of early releases of the 25 tops, and they brought it in, and we pack it up and give it out to kids. And so just like something as easy as that, to have a new product that we can give to kids, that's huge. And so, yeah, that definitely is picking up.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, and hopefully that continues to go in that direction.
Time for a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Hobby Hotline is the hobby's only live interactive call-in show. Join some of your favorite hobby personalities every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, to discuss the hottest hobby topics. If you miss us live, catch us after the fact on all major podcast platforms. Follow us on socials at Hobby Hotline.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Sports Card Nation has returned.
We hear a lot of the bad stuff in the hobby, and it's like news, right? People sort of, that gets the ratings, or certain people like that sort of thing. I like, we have to talk about the bad stuff sometimes, but the good stuff, for every bad story, there's 10 good ones. And that's sometimes I don't think we cover that enough. How about hobby companies? And when I say hobby companies, I'm not just talking Topps or Panini, but others, and even like other companies, supply companies, Ultra Pro, BCW, things along those lines. Have any of those really like picked up on this and reached out again to get involved or help out?
We have not had any real luck at that level. We have reached out. Unfortunately, the love has not been reciprocated. Again, that door is always open. We'd love to talk to anybody from any company. No, not really. No, unfortunately.
Okay, well let's see if we can, I'm only one person, but maybe we can hopefully change the answer to that question. I think it should. Let's be real. It's not going to hurt them. It's frankly, as you well know, it's a tax write-off for anyone that does help out. You can never get enough of those. As someone who pays taxes myself, and on the company level as well. And I'd like to see. I hope the next time you're on and we have this conversation again, I hope the answer to that question might be different. And I think I'm gonna, I'll stick up for them only maybe in this sense. Maybe they're not as aware of it as they can be, and we can maybe do something about that. Kind of put them on the hot seat as far as like, hey, let's do something here. But I'd like to see that. And again, there's plenty of great people who work at these places as well. So hopefully that changes. I guess we'll kind of coming down the home stretch here. First off, kudos to you, Greg, for what you're doing for not just the hobby, but just humans in general, right? People who need it, schools, our elderly population, mental health issues as well, which is a huge thing and one of the most important, issues in society. And I think you're really, you're not really, it's not one thing you're doing. It's a whole bunch of a lot of great things. And I think that's important to give you credit. Like you said, you do this out of the kindness of your heart. This isn't your full-time job, although there's probably days feels like it at some points. And it's a grind too, right? Like it makes you feel good because you're doing it. It's still a grind. There's a lot of work and involved. I wanted to kind of tip my hat to you for doing it. And as someone who's dealt with some mental health issues, that's important to you. And I think it's important for everybody. So kudos to you. I guess my question is, kind of what's on the horizon? What is the future? Where do you want to take the organization? Rome wasn't built in a day per se, but like, where do you want to go eventually?
So we really just want to keep on. I mean, I guess number one is just to keep on the path that we're on, and to be sustainable. I mean, you mentioned the grind. We do have to kind of grind like any shop or any show dealer does. The hobby does provide us the ability that, if we have something that comes up, we can kind of just, like I said, grind it out a little more. Our budget's not set. And so if somebody comes to us with a need, we can then rely on the hobby to fill that budgetary gap. The flip side of that is when you don't have a set income, you don't have set sources, it can really freak you out. And so, really, like keeping status quo is going to always be it. But we really do want to grow because, I kind of alluded to it earlier. We do live in a lot of the communities in our area are impoverished, and so while we do a lot of things, there are more that we can do. We really would like to grow the shop. We've kind of begun exploratory phases on what it looks like to get more space. We really would like to get, you mentioned companies. We really would like partnerships. That's the only way we really can grow, because a large chunk of our inventory comes from out of pocket from me. We try not to spend any ministry money or any program money on refilling the shop, so we do that out of pocket. My wife has said that she just stops asking when packages come in, because she knows that what they're going to go towards. And so really growing the shop, one of the things that we'd like to grow it for is, my wife, well, I work for a special ed cooperative. My wife teaches in a Downs autism classroom. We would really like to start incorporating them some sort of job training. That's an area that's a part of our area that really lacks. They don't really have next steps after they age out of school. And so we're really looking at bringing them in, both, well, in whatever capacity, whether it be they're in the shop, whether they're doing inventory, whether we do a repack program for kids. They make our repacks for us. So we would really love to grow. And like I said, the dream would be that we kind of find some of these larger companies to come along beside us, because that's how we can grow quicker, I guess. And so that's the dream. Like I said, we keep bugging the National. We'd really like to be at the National, the center of the collector universe. That seems to be where it's at. So those type of things are where we'd like to go. Those people probably wish that I would stop emailing them and sending them messages on Twitter, because I can be kind of pesty and persistent. But yeah, that's the dream. And like I've said it before, like what we're doing is completely duplicatable. So if any hobby people have they have any questions about what we do is not exclusive. You can definitely do it wherever you're at, with whoever you're working with, and whatever portion of society you want to help.
Yeah, well said, well done. And listen, keep pestering. Sometimes that's what it takes. I hate to say it like that, but sometimes, you got to really beat the drum until people hear it. I'm going to try to do some things, no lip service. I'm going to try to do some things on my end, hopefully, doesn't fall on deaf ears. But you can't succeed if you don't try, right? So don't quit trying. I'll try to see, what we can do a little bit on our end. But, again, what you're doing is tremendous. You don't need me, obviously, to tell you that. So, Greg, I appreciate you. Appreciate for what you do. I appreciate you. I know you're busy, making some time coming on. Should have had you on sooner. That's my bad, but better late than never. And we'll have you back again, as long as you'll come back and kind of do a follow up, and hopefully we can change some of the answers to the questions I asked.
And maybe next time we both won't be anticipating winter blizzard conditions.
I know we're Illinois, New York, and I think your weather then just comes across and gets us in New York. So hopefully it'll be better weather and all that fun stuff. And the National as well. I know they got new leadership. Sometimes that makes a difference too. Hopefully, I'm going to, like I said, I got a couple feelers I can throw out there. So I can't promise, but you don't, it's like the Jordan line, right? You don't miss the shot you don't take. So
if I took no for an answer, I wouldn't be married.
Yeah. There you go. That makes sense. So, but again, continued success, appreciate what you're doing. It's not easy. Right. It's not easy to do that, even though maybe you make it look that way. It's important. I want to give you here the last word, Greg, where people who are hearing this that want to get involved, whether it be a financial donation, cards or something else, whether they're local or not local. Maybe, they, like you said, you receive stuff in the mail. Get out, social media, website, anything, take your time, whatever you want to share to get the word out there about Cans Can. Go ahead.
So we do have a website. It's canscanbenton.org. We do have a donate tab on there where you can donate financially. There is addresses, there's forms you can fill out if you would like to donate product to us. And honestly, we'll take anything. The only thing at this point that my wife says that cannot come in our house is any more 91 Fleer. She doesn't know anything about baseball cards, but she says I've seen enough yellow borders to know that none of that can come in. And so we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, Can Ministry. And we have learned now with some of the companies that we have talked to, social media following is plays a big part into deciding which companies are going to help you or what they're going to do for you. And so even if it's just a follow at Twitter or a follow on our Facebook page, that's extremely helpful. So those are the main things. Like I said, we'll take products. If you're in driving distance, we'd love to have you in the shop. We'd love to do a tour with you to kind of connect some of these dots in person. But yeah, those are the main ways to help us out.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, not that we do it for this reason, and it shouldn't be the reason, but when you do stuff like that, it is a tax write-off. So whether you're Tops or Jim Smith in Des Moines, Iowa, it's a tax write-off. So that's the perk you get. But the real perk is when you're making a difference in someone's life, helping someone out, and so that's the more important perk of them. So Greg, thanks for coming on. Love to have you back and kind of to see where you are, and if some of those answers to those questions have changed for the positive.
Sure.
All right, awesome having Greg on, getting him on, kind of talking about what he does, the importance, and that's the thing. It's not even just hobby, guys. It's outside the hobby. He's helping elderly folks, people inside the hobby, school kids who may not even collect cards. So, again, shout out to Terry who dropped some stuff off, but you can help as well. Check the show notes for how to contact Can Ministries and get involved, whether it's a $5 donation, you send them some stuff to resell, no strings attached. Whatever you can do makes a big difference, right? All these little pebbles make a big wave together. And so, I implore you, if you're able to, you got some extra stuff you don't know what to do with, maybe you're near where Greg is, or even if you're not, right, ship it to him. To tax write-off, obviously, maybe not doing it for that reason, but that's a nice fringe perk, extra perk as well. So hope to hear that some people got involved after hearing part 2 or part 1 or both parts of this conversation. Thank you. All right, we're going to hear from our Hobby is the People announcer of the week. Come back with some closing thoughts, and that'll wrap up this week's episode.
Time for our Hobby is the People announcer of the week.
Hey, this is Herman from Personal Rips and Hobby Chat on YouTube and Twitter at 3B Collection. Reminding you to always remember, the hobby is the people.
If you'd like to be the Hobby is the People announcer of the week, do a WAV or MP3 file and send it to sportscardnationpc@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Isaac Alpert, a longtime card collector and the co-founder of the Penny Sleever. My wife and I started the Penny Sleever with a simple premise in mind: to offer collectors top quality supplies at fair prices. We offer a full range of hobby supplies and we'll get them to you fast. Whether you're looking for a 260-point magnetic for that oversized patch card, or a slew of semi-rigids for your next PSA submission, the Penny Sleever has you covered. Shop now at thepennysleever.com and use the promo code SCNation to get 10% off your first order. That's SCNation for 10% off at thepennysleever.com. The Penny Sleever. Top quality supplies, fair prices.
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.